You can actually influence the energetic grids of your home by putting artworks like postcards above power outlets or light switches. When you put them near like your pipes under your sink, that affects the water system in your home. You can write prayers, intentions, almost like spells in the back of these postcards. And imagine the influence that just one image or one quotation can imprint on you when you walk past a certain place thousands of times. So this is why I put this above the threshold. And when you put artworks above doors and thresholds, it actually creates a sort of gate or even a ward, which can block off certain energies or harmonize certain energies as you pass through, because doorways and passageways really work as portals. Hi, welcome back. This is Wan Lin, La Princesse des Beaux-Arts, and today I want to show you how I use artworks and postcards specifically to harmonize and supercharge the energies in my home, because your living spaces are so important, and you can discover this in concepts and practices like feng shui, but specifically artworks are what I'm going to talk about, because an image actually carries an imprint and affects the surrounding spaces. And it's so important to know how this affects you consciously and subconsciously in the spaces you frequent, especially your home, which is where you're meant to feel safe, empowered, and creative, let's say, especially if you're watching this channel. So I'll give you a few examples right off the bat, starting off in my bedroom. Now, I make sure to I'll give you a few examples here. So right down here, I know generally you're not meant to have mirrors in your sleeping space, because when you sleep, you're very vulnerable. But I actually put an image of one of my personal guardian deities next to the mirror, and I wash it with holy water. So we're good there. No portals to the lower astral realms. And I like to keep a rose near my sleeping space, because it actually emits such a pure energy while I sleep, and along with other nature elements like pink rose quartz and such. So what you see here is I have images of the kind of space and areas that I personally find appealing and beautiful. So this postcard here is from the Monnaie de Paris, which is actually, I got it there. It's the Paris Mint, where they used to make coins and all of that. So it's already giving off like very abundant, beautiful, high energy, just from a small postcard, an image. And then a pair of butterflies that I got in Paris from a taxidermy shop. So usually I wouldn't encourage like dead things in your life, but if it's insects and they were like harvested from natural death or whatever, then having a beautiful like butterflies, it could be art as well, in a pair, especially if you want to call in romance or partnerships and friendships, good relationships, that's very useful. Next, I have a postcard of a mom and child giraffe. How cute is that? And this is because I want to anchor the energies of nurturing and harmony, and almost like feeling you have your parent nearby. Because I am living far from my family, so having this sort of maternal energy is very good for your home, especially if you're living away from your family. And this is a postcard I got from the Linnean Society in London, which is another beautiful space. So also, when I get postcards or artworks, I'm very mindful of the places they come from. And you'll notice the Paris Mint, the Linnean Society, all these different art museums, they have very beautiful high energies. And oftentimes they're associated historically with wealth, or with like rich families who donated or left their estates, their properties to the government because the inheritance tax was too high. But otherwise, yeah, getting a lot of artworks from beautiful places. And this here, I actually also, one recommendation is using this one I have above the power outlet. It's gold colored. And I use painter's tape so it doesn't damage the surface of the walls, because this is very important when you're renting or you live in a lot of different places and you don't want to necessarily damage any of the property or put holes or nails. I like to use a painter's tape that leaves everything smooth and clean. And this way you can just pack up your postcards and put them back up whenever you travel or move. And this is from the Gustave Moreau Museum, which I really love. And this is an image of the sage or priest, this traveling foreign man, on a unicorn, which is a painting from the Moreau Museum. And he made a lot of beautiful symbolist works. And one thing that you can do actually is to specifically associate different intentions with the artworks you put around your home. So this, for example, I just realized now subconsciously that I have very vivid dreams. And this is something that runs through my family, my mom's side. And oftentimes these dreams will tell us so many clues about the future even, and what we're currently experiencing in our subconscious. So interpreting dreams is actually such a valuable skill for your day-to-day life. And I think having this image of a sage on a unicorn from a symbolist artist in France really creates a connection as I sleep, as I live in my home, with powerful dreams. Yeah. So also you can actually influence the energetic grid. I think the lighting here is better. You can actually influence the energetic grids of your home by putting artworks like postcards above power outlets or light switches. Because what some people don't notice or haven't been told, from what I can tell, is that spaces have different layers of energy on the physical and the higher dimensional planes. So one example of this is there are electrical grids, there are electromagnetic grids, there are grids of energy like ley lines through what the earth emits and what the land emits. Also energies that were absorbed historically from your locality. And when you put images specifically like postcards, they act like talismans, they really do. When you put them near like your pipes under your sink, that affects the water system in your home. When you put it above like an electrical outlet or a power switch, that affects the energy of the power that's going through. And I really noticed this, you can really use it to your advantage. So this is how I put it back. Like for example here, I put it above the switch and it will radiate and filter out that energy from this electrical system. And let me show you another thing is, I highly suggest you put images of affirmations you truly love. It could be Bible phrases, it could be quotes, quotations. This is a postcard my friend mailed me from France. And it's a quote in French, quotation from Isaac le Syrien. And it says, "Be at peace with your soul, and the sky and the earth will be at peace with you." So this is a postcard my friend bought from Le Procure, which is a religious Catholic bookshop, a really pretty Catholic bookshop near the Église Saint-Sulpice in Paris. And I placed it on a silver border because silver is a very feminine yin energy that suits my personal energies and also specifically the bedroom. See? And this is so powerful because imagine how many times you're going to get up and walk past the different alleyways and corridors of your house. Imagine the influence that just one image or one quotation can imprint on you when you walk past a certain place thousands of times. So this is why I put this above the threshold. And when you put artworks above doors and thresholds, it actually creates a sort of gate or even a ward, which can block off certain energies or harmonize certain energies as you pass through, because doorways and passageways really work as portals, not just in a physical dimension, but also in a higher dimensions. So for example, if you subconsciously observe an artwork that's very peaceful and beautiful, then it's going to inevitably imprint a bit of that energy into yourself as you head out the door in the morning. If you're not conscious of how energies affect you in your living spaces, that can actually lead to some chaotic feelings, especially if you've seen stories about like creepy paintings or artworks. Sometimes they can actually be inhabited by spirits. That's when portraits have their eyes like follow you around. And conversely, when you have beautiful arts of like high vibrational arts of angels or nature, flowers, fruit, symbols of abundance and wellness and harmony, then that imprints on your living spaces. Another thing I like to do is, you've seen here, I've put a postcard from a Dior exhibit in the fashion museum in Paris near the Louvre. It's it's a Dior gown in front of mirrors, so it shows like there's three, but it's one main gown by Christian Dior, and I put it once again with painter's tape near my sleeping space, because having an image like this, first of all, it reminded me of my guardian angels. It reminded me of angels in general and higher spirits and like peaceful, beautiful deities that really support me. And when you sleep, it's literally like having an anchor in the physical world for your guardian angels and support system to watch over you, literally, because like right below this postcard is where I put my head when I sleep, right? Imagine how powerful that is. That's about it for my bedroom, and now I will show you next in the hallways and in my bathroom and the rest of my flat. And just to show you here, this is another postcard from a museum in Paris. Let me see which one this is. I think this is the Monet de Paris, or it's just one of those beautiful buildings that used to maybe be a government building or a hôtel particulier. And I'll show you another way this can work. So one of my favorite postcards on my flat is this portrait, the sculpture of Adam from the Cluny Museum, the first man. And he's very beautiful. He's like very much similar to my type and preference in men. And I placed him right above the light switch. So it's kind of like I'm turning him on and off when I turn the light on. And this is really funny. Yeah, it would be even funnier if it were like an old-fashioned light switch. So I'd be like literally turning him on and off. But it's not just a joke. There's a very strong intention behind this, which is that if you're living as a single woman or a girl and you don't have other like a male partner or energy in your home, which I've been very careful to, I don't let men enter my house or male guests, or like, and I don't really invite a lot of people over if I don't know them well, especially. I don't do that ever. But the thing is, when you're living by yourself or you're living just amongst women, sometimes that could lead to an excess of yin energy. So in a concept of feng shui and Chinese divination and culture, yin energy is the feminine energy. It's kind of associated with darkness, the moon, the night, the void, the creative void of chaos and pure potential. And then masculine yang energy is more associated with day, the sun, the creative force, and proactive action. And the thing is, this is something I learned, and it really reaffirmed what I've been feeling in the past from Claire Nakti, the Vedic astrologer and occultist female path course, which is a year-long course that you can follow. And in one of her lessons, she taught that you can accumulate yin energy as a woman in a partnership. And because you're in a male partnership, or you have like a proximity and that sort of consort with a man, then you can actually transmute that yin energy, which sometimes can be dark or depressive or dirty, into something that's like really powerful and amplified. But if you're living alone as a woman, you don't want to accumulate too much yin energy, because the best way I can describe this is when you accumulate too much yin energy, you can tend to get, and you don't know how to like manage it, you can become depressed, sluggish, lazy, dirty, or just like very isolated. And this is why, knowing that I personally have a lot of feminine energy and lean more towards the yin side, I wanted to counterbalance this by putting like this male influence over my light switch, so that when I turn it on, and even when I don't turn on my light in my bedroom, this sort of more yang energy counterbalances my home and still comes to like replenish my personal reserves. Yeah, so not only is it funny, and also it looks like the fae has a very pretty face. So Adam from the Musée de Cluny is sort of like my type. So every time I walk past, every time I turn on the light, it's like reaffirming that male energy in my home in a healthy, balanced way. So I don't become like too yin or disharmonious. And it's like something pleasant to look at, right? Another thing is on the doors, I put artworks, postcards on the doors. So this here is a beautiful image of the Virgin Mary and Child that I got from my favorite church/chapel in Paris. On the left bank, it's called the Chapelle de la Médaille Miraculeuse. It's where Saint Catherine Labourè's uncorruptible body is preserved in a glass coffin. So an uncorruptible saint is a saint whose body does not really decay, and it just stays preserved exceptionally well, and it's a sign of a miracle. So Saint Catherine Labouré, she had a vision of Mary, and there was a chapel built in Paris named after her. And going into the chapel, I just remembered like they had silver, gold, and blue everywhere. It's such a beautiful place. I highly recommend you go visit it. But what's special about that place and about her and about this picture that I got from their gift shop was that they have so much beautiful feminine energy that's really associated and anchored with the color light blue, or like this periwinkle blue, that you really see in the rest of the home. So you can also balance your postcards or artworks with the rest of your home. I think everyone can and should do that. Also, this anchors more of that mothering, nurturing energy into my bedroom, so it feels like a safe space, almost like a womb. And also I say you can write prayers, intentions, almost like spells in the back of these postcards, and that intention will imprint on the water grids if you put it near a pipe, on the electrical switches and power outlets, in your electrical grid of your home, and in many other ways, okay? And this is just the side of the door that I leave open during the day. And on the other side of the door, I have a more coquettish postcard that my friend sent me. What's interesting about really good friends, really true close friends, is that oftentimes they will be able to see you, like a version of you that you don't necessarily notice in yourself. So this is like a very coquettish girl. And she's like looking back, and it's just like, follow me to the bedroom. It's like that sort of vibe, very playful, also a bit suggestive, which I think is great for the door of a bedroom, even if you're living alone, okay? And once more, I put this postcard on on the light switch in the hallway. So this postcard, I'll show you, it's a lady with this beautiful hat that looks kind of like a crown. So this is from the Parma National Gallery. My friend mailed it to me during her vacations, I suppose. And here you can see the top of her hat has a unicorn embroidered on it, and it radiates outwards. So not only is this a regal, beautiful, noble woman, but also she has this higher insight, because this is like where the crown and where your third eye, crown chakra energies are located. So it's like subconsciously telling me, it's activating these abilities and this quality in myself every time I walk past. Like imagine how many times you walk past your hallway, right? And then in the bathroom, I'm very intentional with what I want to associate with water, with the cleaning, healing spaces. So this is a picture, a painting of Margate, the coastal city in Kent in the United Kingdom. It was a city where Turner went to paint. And this is one of Turner's paintings of Margate. And here I have also like really good memory associated with that place, because I went traveling in Margate with my friend Callie at a time in my life where like I was going through some challenges, and it was deeply healing. It was like so healing for me. Okay, so now onto the bathroom. On the other side of this door, I have a postcard of the Wild Atlantic Way. And that is a part of Ireland. So this is the bathroom. I have and this postcard here, what it does is, if you look closely, it's an image, a photo of the waves crashing on the County Clare cliffs. And if you know a bit about the mystical associations of oceans, the Atlantic is very much the mystic of the oceans, and it's kind of like more high moving and high paced than the Pacific Ocean. And having that mystical picture of the waves crashing against the cliffs, it really like activates some of my creative potential and thoughts and abilities, even just subconsciously. And then another thing is, you can put these images in places where you don't even see them, and they will still work very well. So for example, if you want to feel more beautiful, what you can do is put a postcard or a note with an image that you associate with beauty or what you want to call into your life, and then write a prayer on it, like a spell. And what I've done is I've actually put one behind this mirror, and and it's a postcard. I'm not going to take it out because it's a bit foreign. It's a postcard I got from, I can't remember which museum, one of those Parisian museums, with a beautiful image of a woman's bust and a mirror. So I put it behind my mirror to activate that feeling of beauty and harmony. And one thing with mirrors is that mirrors are portals, and they will absorb the emotions of the people that looked into them. This is why I don't recommend you buy used mirrors, because you don't know what happened in front of those mirrors and what they've witnessed. And you might be lucky and get a mirror from someone who like considered themselves very beautiful and glamorous, but you wouldn't want to say like get a mirror from someone who hated their body and was like very depressed about life. So that's one thing that I want you to know. Another thing is, here is what I've done with my cabinet. So this cabinet is where I keep my toiletries, beauty products, all of that, makeup. And this is a beautiful sculpture I got from the Rodin Museum. No, it was either the Rodin or the Bourdain Museum. And it's a beautiful sculpture of a woman like cleaning her ankle, cleaning herself off in front of some stones. Kind of like a nymph. And that's really very much the energy I want to feel when I'm like doing my makeup, washing my face, taking care of my hair and moisturizer. That's very much the energy I want to implement. Another thing is, you can actually, this is one of my favorites in my home. So on the water boiler, I've put a postcard with a painting by Eugène Carrière called Maternité. And I wrote a prayer for my mom behind it. And you can see close up that this is a mother kissing her child. It is so beautiful. Like, how beautiful is that? And I chose to put this image on top of the water boiler so that every time I take a bath, that nurturing, loving energy of a mother's embrace is holding me in that water. Because this water boiler is where all of it gets heated, right? And then it goes through the pipes and it goes into my bathtub. And you'll know that water holds memories, water absorbs energies and emotions from their surroundings. So especially if you're living in a big city, water can absorb a lot of chaos, right? So that's why it's important to bless your water. And this is why I don't drink tap water. But you know, you can't really bathe in Evian, or it's not really something I'm interested in doing at this point in my life. So I put this beautiful talisman on my water heater, and that's exactly the kind of feeling I get when I take a bath, because baths are deeply spiritual, purifying, and rejuvenating, deeply healing. Now the thing is, if you look inside the water pipes, like near the pipes, so this is where the piping goes, and it's actually one of the more challenging aspects of my flat because it faces an area with a street that carries a lot of like dense, chaotic energy. So when I first move in, sometimes this part of my bathroom would smell like rotten eggs. And if you know anything about spirituality, like smells and signs from the universe, bad smells often indicate some sort of suboptimal negative energy. And one way that I actually fix this, which you might think is insane, is I put a painting of the most pristine, beautiful woods in winter by the Finnish artist Gallen Kalela that I got in the Musée Jacques-André. It's this painting of the woods in winter that matches the pipes. So I put this image, this beautiful sublime painting of trees in winter, parallel to the pipes that you can see in the back. So that like purified the pipes. Also, the vibration, the energy of artists that you display in your home is so important, because a painting and artwork is a soul imprint by that creator, that individual, that artist. And next, I have here to remedy the weird rotten egg smell. What I did was I got this postcard of Toulouse violets, Les Violettes de Toulouse, that I actually bought in Toulouse, France. And I wrote, I hereby will the cleanest, pure air and flow of energy by the grace of God, to wholesome breath, and I wrote my prayer to cast out the negative smells, and then I taped it right inside where it used to smell like really bad, like rotten eggs sometimes would be like on and off. And ever since then, I haven't had that sulfur smell coming back, which is just shows you like how powerful these are. And I highly suggest you use this. So next, I will show you. Also, if you want to call in like love or romance, you can put this in your like little display areas. This is a beautiful photo by the American photographer Elliot Erwitt from an exhibit in Paris at the Musée Mayol, I think. Yeah, it's such a beautiful romantic photo, and I just walk past it every time I get up in the morning and go to bed at night. And here, what I've done is charge the energetic grid of this hallway, going to the main room where I have my art studio set up. I put a beautiful gold and gemstone chandelier, like also a Christian motif jeweled chandelier that I got from the Musée Cluny. I put it below this light switch so that every time I turn on this light, just gonna put back here, so that every time I turn on this light, this sort of holy energy and regal energy goes up into the light. It works. And I think one of the most important things is the images that you see immediately when you enter a space, a home, a flat, an apartment. So for me, I've personally, this isn't a photo or artwork or image, but I put bells. I put bells on my door lock. And what this does is that bells can harmonize spaces and clear away negative energy. It's the same way I like when you're healing and meditating to clear away some mental blocks or like dark spirals in your thought processes. You can actually like dissolve them in meditation by clapping your hands really loud or snapping your fingers even. And this is why, like, when you go home and when you leave, having that sound is like very comforting and also purifying. Next, the most important or like influential images in my living space are near this main light switch that goes to my salon and art studio. So what I have here is the Cancer, Leo, July, August, part of the Lindbergh Brothers calendar. So this was a series of paintings from the Middle Ages by the Lindbergh Brothers. It's called les très riches heures du duc du something something. So the very rich hours of the Duke of, I forgot his name. But anyways, this shows the reaping, the harvest. And every time from summer, and they added the zodiac to this series of paintings. So it's 12 paintings with the zodiac signs, with scenes from the nobility's estate of like planting and then harvesting crops. Like here, he's reaping wheat. And what this affirms in my life is that every time I walk home, every time I leave, every time I touch the light switch, this feeling of harvest, abundance, and reward appears in my life. And personally, I'm a Leo ascendant and Cancer moon in tropical Western zodiac. So this is like very important and special to me. And next on my easel, I even put these artworks on my easel. So this is the divine bird from the throne of Saint Peter in the Vatican. Not that I don't support or condemn the Vatican. I'll just leave it at that. But I will appreciate good art when it's good art and when it benefits me. That's the divine dove coming from the heavens. And I specifically wanted to charge my easel with these images. That is the sun, the gilded sun motif with the little children playing on top between these crosses from the very peak of the Rouen Cathedral, which I visited a while back. So it's all of these postcards, they're anchoring these different energies. So that's my workspace. You can see it. That's a painting I'm currently making with some drawings. And then of course, you want to put this near your food as well, like flowers, fruit, all of that. In here, I even put a postcard from the Foundling Museum that I've added like gilded gold wrapper to, so that my food and my cooking space, which is very important in feng shui, is always rich, abundant, and like very beautiful. So this is how I supercharge my home with talismans in the form of artworks and postcards specifically. I highly recommend you try this because it has been so beneficial to me. And I would love to know like how you've implemented these artworks, these affirmations into your own life and interior design. Yeah. Okay. That's it for today. I'll see you very soon. Also, like, if you look from here, if you look down this hallway, that image of the Virgin Mary in this beautiful marquise shape, which is basically like the female reproductive organs and portal into the world, it's a constant like affirmation of creativity in my life. And it's like right next to my easel. What do you know? So like that creates such a strong imprint of the divine mother in my home, which I absolutely love. I'm going out to draw, and before I forget, I want to show you my hallway. So I put affirmations here along with a flower to anchor in good, beautiful energy. So here it is a quote by Aud Lorde, the Black poet and gay rights activist, feminist, that says, "I am deliberate and afraid of nothing." That's a great mentality to have every time you head out the door in the morning. And then a bull for strength and earthiness, grounding, prosperity, and a fountain. This is a postcard from the ENSPA collections. It's called the Fontaine de la Renommée, the fountain of the renowned. And this is possibly the most important postcard of where I live. It is a mosaic from the Ravenna Cathedral in Italy featuring Empress Theodora. So she was a female empress in Constantinople that actually
moved up from being the daughter of a circus animal trainer all the way up to being empress, and she led as a true beacon of inspiration for who I aspire to be. And this is in this mosaic, you can see she's holding a chalice near a fountain with many of her attendants and followers. And I put this on some golden paper. Yeah.
That's it for today. I love you all so much. Wishing you a very fun time supercharging your own home. And let me know what you think. You can find me on Instagram under La Princesse des Beaux-Arts. This channel is all about spirituality and creativity, documenting my life as an artist. If you want to book a call with me or browse any of my artworks, you can do that on my website, okay? See you all very soon. Bye!